So if the president really believes he can fire Mueller and thinks it's an illegitimate investigation, why doesn't he do so? Joining me right now is Natasha Bertrand, staff writer at The Atlantic, Robert Costa, national political reporter at The Washington Post, and Seth Waxman, former federal prosecutor. Let me start with Robert about this this thing that's going on. He gets up and he says, I want Jeff Sessions, who he picked as Attorney General, to get rid of the whole Mueller investigation. Just get rid of it. And then somebody comes out later, his, I guess, lawyer, spokesman, Rudy Giuliani, says, that's just his opinion. It seems to me he either is saying he wants the guy fired, and he means it, or he doesn't mean it. And what is he doing if he's not saying he wants him fired? What
he's doing is he's going after the credibility of Robert Mueller and the entire investigation. He's not pulling the trigger. He's just attacking and attacking over and over again because he knows the report's coming. He knows he needs to make a decision on the presidential interview.
Is he saying it's a legitimate investigation or an illegitimate investigation?
Not at all.
And if it's illegitimate, why doesn't he fire them all? If he really believes that the probe by Robert Mueller is illegitimate, that it isn't a legitimate action of the federal government, if he believes that, he should terminate it. Does he believe that?
He would like to, based on my conversations with his officials.
But does he believe it's illegitimate?
He does believe it's illegitimate.
Well, then why does he get rid of it?
Because he's being told by Republicans on Capitol Hill, you're going to have a midterm disaster if you get rid of the special counsel.
So in other words, let me go to Natasha. He honestly believes it's not a legitimate investigation. He honestly believes he has authority to end it, but he won't.
No, I mean, we saw the reaction after Helsinki, that disastrous summit where there was bipartisan condemnation, and he knows that this would be politically disastrous for him, especially, as Bob said, ahead of the midterm election.
Could it just mean that he knows he's guilty, Seth? And that's what he's worried about? He's afraid they got him? They got him on obstruction? They got him over and over and over again on obstruction?
Well, I don't think he believes that in his heart of hearts. He's out there saying this is a hoax, this is a witch hunt. I think he thinks it is illegitimate. The reason why he's not getting rid of it is because he can't. The special prosecutor rules, regulations say that it's only the Attorney General, and now, since he's recused, it is Rod Rosenstein.
Why does he keep saying he's got a lawyer named Rudy Giuliani, once America's mayor, now his lawyer, who says he has the authority as of today to fire Mueller, the whole shebang? Why doesn't he do it if he has the authority?
Well, Rudy may say that, he may say that, but again, he doesn't as a legal matter.
You don't think so? You don't think this Supreme Court would back him up if he said, I'm the head of the executive branch, I picked Sessions to head the Justice Department, I can tell them what to do. That's how we have elections in this country.
Well, we came down this path once before in 1973 when Archibald Cox was fired. A D.C. federal judge here had 3 senators that filed an injunction, and that judge found that the termination of Archibald Cox was illegal. And in addition, when they tried to disband the entire special counsel's office, that same judge...
Well, Cox lost his job, though.
Yeah, and Jaworski picked it up and ran with it, and the judge said...
Cox was a Kennedy guy, but he never got the job again. Dixon did get rid of him.
And Jaworski picked it up and ran, and the judge
but you're missing my point, Seth. He did get rid of the guy. Can't Trump do the same thing, get rid of Mueller?
He can try, but when we can have senators today file that same sort of civil lawsuit seeking an injunction to block it.
I'm getting confused. I opened the show with trying to figure out what it is, so somebody help me. Either Trump believes this is illegitimate, and he has the power to get rid of this guy, or he believes it is legitimate, he's just BSing us, or it's a coup d'etat, because he has suggested there's a dark, deep state out there, these Democratic 17 members of the prosecuting team, all out to get him. They're really... it's a dangerous group of people that should be stopped. If he really believes that, what is he going to do about it?
Well, Trump needs a foil. He needs someone to be in opposition to at all times. And I think
for the next election.
Right, exactly. And this is, you know, we say it over and over again, but it really is true. It's raw meat to his base. And he wants the ability to say that there's a deep state out to get me.
Which is rotten, which is illegitimate, which is evil. And he's the only person they got in the United States that protected them from the deep state. Right?
And he's got a lot on his plate. He's got Paul Manafort on trial in Northern Virginia. He has Michael Cohen, his longtime lawyer and fixer, signaling he's willing to cooperate with federal investigators. He knows his son, Donald Trump Jr., is under federal scrutiny. He knows the feds are wondering behind the scenes right now, was there criminal intent in any of the president's tweets or his decisions?
Why is he scrambling like a quarterback? Why is he racing around right now making all these charges this morning? Does he fear that that prosecution is coming at him before Labor Day or sometime after the election?
Well,
What's the Seth, do you know what he fears?
Well, I think he fears it's a long term after the election, but I think he also sees this whole thing coming to a head where all these people are either testifying or against him or providing information. And at the end of the day, Paul Manafort, I think, is playing with house money. If he beats this case, great, he'll fight it in D.C. But if he loses, he can still walk into Mueller's office, still get a deal, and he can testify and provide information against Donald Trump.
Or the tweet today, you see the president tweeting about Paul Manafort saying he's getting a bad deal, and it's an unfair prosecution.
Him with a pardon?
But, I mean, that's the federal prosecutors believe that Manafort's playing for a pardon.
Natasha?
He could still cooperate. I mean, prosecutors, former federal prosecutors have told me that
Trump
could
could offer him complete freedom. He walks out the door with all these tax charges again, all this pile of time against 25 years if you add it up, facing him. They're not going to let him walk. Mueller's not going to say goodbye, have a nice day. He's going to say, I'll give you 5. I may give you 7. But Trump can give him 0. I'd wait for Trump. Anyway, Trump's tweets today came after the New York Times reported last week that the president's tweets could bolster a potential obstruction case against himself. And that's made some of Trump's lawyers uneasy. Quote, the fact that they are scrutinizing his actions under a section of the United States Code entitled tampering with a witness, victim, or informant raised concerns for his lawyers about Mr. Trump's exposure in the investigation. However, Rudy Giuliani says that what the president tweets cannot be evidence of obstruction. That's Rudy talking, but here he is.
Now we have obstruction by tweet. Whoa. I don't think the Congress had it. Yeah. I mean, obstruction happens this way. Hey.
Where nobody knows
there's a gun.
Right.
It doesn't happen by. He has 80 million followers. You got a lot.
Hey, Seth, give me about the rules, because they keep changing. I love the way you, Rudy, by the way, I'm always been impressed by him, but lately he's just cute. I mean, there's nothing in the code about collusion. Yeah, but there is something called a conspiracy and advancing a conspiracy. Change the words a little bit and you're in trouble. This now thing about tweet, it's cute to say tweet, but this whole government's been run by tweets, so don't stop now, brother.
Yeah, no, tweets can be evidence just like anything else. Anything that comes out of a defendant or target or subject's mouth, whether it's an email, a tweet, a text message, or an oral statement, is evidence. If someone says, I'm going to go kill person B tomorrow on a tweet, and that person ends up dead, you sure know prosecutors are going to be holding up that tweet saying, look what he said just yesterday. So the idea that a tweet is somehow just cute and can't constitute evidence, there is a file somewhere in Mueller's office that's the tweet master, who every time there's a new tweet, they put another tab in their file and say, you know, this is evidence piece number 647.
Can you read the president's sort of cycle of tweeting? Can you tell, does he get more excited? Does he tweet more, Robert?
I mean, the president spends most of the morning watching television up in the residence, watching television, thinking through his tweets. It's him tweeting on his own, and he watches the
What causes the highest tweeting level? Because it seems like when he gets scared, he tweets a lot.
Well, you see often with the president's style, it's the so-called witch hunt, his words, talking about the Mueller investigation, and then there'll be a series of tweets, not just 1 or 2.
Natasha, have you got a tweet meter? Because I think he does get scared. He goes, and somebody told me from the New York Times, the minute he gets the Times, could be the Washington Post, thrown on his bed, he goes, oh my God, and he starts tweeting.
Well, I think the trigger here was very clear, and ABC already reported it, that after about 10 days of Giuliani going to the special counsel and kind of renegotiating a sit-down interview, they finally got an answer from the special counsel last night saying that he does want to still discuss obstruction of justice with the president. The president then kind of flew off the handle, I guess, thinking that just, you know, a tweet can't be obstruction of justice and that he's kind of stopping short of the line there. But I think that it's really not hard to read the president's moods based on his tweeting habits.
What does Mueller want? He wants the president to admit he's guilty?
He wants the president to sit down and answer a question about what was his motive. And if the president doesn't want to sit down, Mueller has a decision to make this summer. Is he going to issue the report without an interview, or is he going to issue a subpoena to get the president to sit down?
What's the advantage of having the interview? Perjury trap?
I mean, the advantage for Mueller is that he wants to find out the president's intent.
He's never going to tell him.
Giuliani's advising against the interview.
Seth, why would a guy who's in charge with having bad purposes here admit his bad purposes?
Well, I will tell you, any prosecutor would lick their chops to get in the room with a target, get that person under oath, and hear what they have to say. I mean, Mr. Trump or anybody that's a subject or a target really cannot appreciate what a prosecutor's trying to do in that room. They don't know the evidence. They don't know the witnesses the government has. It is a death trap for someone like Mr. Trump to walk into that room, but I don't think he has a choice unless he wants to plead the fifth.
You notice, by the way, every time Trump faces a somewhat difficult interview, Natasha, like me, or Lester, anybody else in our network, anytime he gets somebody besides a Fox interview, he doesn't do so well. He says stuff he wish he hadn't said.
Right,
so there's good reason to keep him away from Robert Mueller.
He gets nervous. He has a tendency to lie a lot. He really can't help himself. And there are things that he just can't help he can't help backtracking. So
can he protect himself in an interview with Mueller, do you think?
Every one of his lawyers is advising him not to sit down.
Well said. There's been a lot of reaction to the president's tweets today. Let's watch those.
Clearly, this statement is serious and substantial evidence of criminal intent, even if it doesn't constitute a crime itself. There is now, right now, a clearly credible case of obstruction of justice against the President of the United States.
Do you think it's appropriate for him to send a text like that?
No, I don't. Of course it's not appropriate.
I think that there are definitely indications that would lead to the conclusion that he's engaged in obstruction of justice.
The president's tweet is unfortunate. I think it's inappropriate for him to be commenting on an ongoing investigation.
By the way, that's the Senate office building basement where reporters grab these senators. That's why they all look a little huffy. Anyway, Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell also warned the president, quote, fire Mueller and we fire you, Robert.
Oh, look at what Mayor Giuliani said today in New Hampshire. He said this whole midterm election's about impeachment. And the Republicans, he said, have to get out to defend the president from Democrats wanting to impeach him if they take back the House.
I'm going back to coup d'etat. I think he's going to accuse the deep state of trying to dump him the people's choice. I think that's what Trump's up to. You guys have said that. This is what he's setting up. Thank you, Natasha Bertrand, Robert Costa, and Seth Waxman. Coming up.